the South African National Taxi Council has reaffirmed its commitment to fighting the spread of the coronavirus in the public transport sector. The governing body of one of South Africa's largest public transport systems is embarking on a tour to taxi ranks countrywide to announce and demonstrate COVID-19 measures. For more on this, let's cross live to Hitekani Magwedze. Hitekani, good morning. We heard and we saw the SANTACO President Philip Taibosh coming out and really speaking on some of the measures that have been put in place to ensure the safety and the health standard of around 16.5 million passengers who are on taxis on a day-to-day basis, announcing a really important plan of action. What did we hear from him this morning?
Certainly quite stringent steps taken by by SANTACO and the president of SANTACO. It's quite unprecedented to hear from the taxi industry that they're going to be continuously, day on day, cleaning up not only the taxi ranks but also the taxis themselves and ensuring that they hand out or they sanitize commuters. Like you said, there are more than 16 million commuters that use taxis on a daily basis, and one of the measures that they're going to be using is this hand sanitizers called Gogos hand sanitizers. Very funny, but the pandemic is definitely not a funny situation. That's why SANTACO is taking the measures that it's taking. But we are joined right now by the president of SANTACO, Mr. Taibosh, to talk to us about the measures. Let's start firstly, Mr. Taibosh, on the announcement that the funding is not entirely there yet. So my question is, what of what we've seen today is going to be rolled out as soon as tomorrow on all taxi ranks around South Africa?
What we are doing now is to communicate the intentions of implementing. And as soon as we have, because we must still go to companies and acquire the gas that needs to be used for this particular process. Today we were showing South Africa that what is it that is going to be done, what equipments will be used to ensure that we are able to contribute to the call that was made by the President of the Republic, His Honorable Ramaphosa, on Sunday. And I believe that we will, in full-fledged, by next week, be able to indicate to you that what is implementable on each and every taxi rank. We have said that we identify top taxi ranks in the 9 provinces before we go to the rest. The whole taxi ranks in the country that are legal, it's close to about 1,000 taxi ranks. We said within a few months, we will be have implemented the program in some of the 700 taxi ranks in the country.
And what are the measures that you're going to take to ensure that taxi drivers and taxi ranks are kept to the protocol that you've handed out today?
What we are going to do, firstly let me indicate that we are going to talk to the Department of Transport to see how far government could come in assistance. You know, this is a national disaster, and I believe that each and every country, even South Africa, and I heard that the President is going to make use of the National Disaster Fund. We believe we will talk to the Minister of Transport, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, to say how could we, as the taxi industry, tap into that fund to make sure that we've got all the necessary gears that are needed to fight this epidemic.
And lastly, there are taxi rank in far-lying areas and rural areas as well. Is the same type of approach being taken compared to the more larger taxi rank in more urban areas?
You see, I'm smiling because you see, wherever you put the mukuku, a shack, the following day you find the taxi there. The following day you find the hawker there. In all those places where we have taxi activity, that's where we will be in the next few weeks, few months.
Thank you very much for joining us in Newzroom Afrika.
Thank you.
That was the president of SANTACO, Mr. Taibosh. It is commendable that the association is taking such steps, but it also is important to highlight that they're saying that this is not being rolled out as yet. They are still looking for funding, especially from government, from the disaster fund as well, to make sure that some of the equipment that was used here, there's equipment to sanitize the entire taxi rank. There's smaller equipment as well. There are hand sanitizers that are being handed out as we speak, and there is, of course, a call to more smaller associations and taxi drivers and commuters especially to ensure that they sanitize and ensure that they are kept clean. But there is a call that he also made out, especially to taxi drivers and commuters, to say that there must be no discrimination against commuters who may cough in taxis. You can imagine at a time like this, when people are sensitive, that when a person coughs in a taxi, it might trigger. In fact, we saw a video of a lady, discriminating at somebody who was coughing in the taxi. So there is a call from the SANTACO president to ensure that there is no discrimination, because no one, within the taxi environment has the capability to tell whether that person has coronavirus or not. So a call to be careful, to treat people with the utter respect that they're due to, and to ensure that personal hygiene is kept up to standard.
And Hitekani, before we let you go, one other imperative factor that was mentioned there is the importance of the exchange of money and the hype that's coming out of how money is contaminated with COVID-19. We heard Mr. Taibosh really just speaking out very strongly against that, saying that there's no directive from the Reserve Bank when it comes to that. What more did he say?
Well, certainly, you can imagine the exchange of money in a taxi can be seen as a transmission process of the virus. But he did say that as the taxi industry, they did not say that, or they didn't give a directive to say that people should be handing out money to someone else, saying that if you do that, you should know that you're not going to get that money back. So as a directive in saying that you should be handing out money responsibly when you do that. But it's not rocket science to know that within a taxi environment, in a taxi, if you've been in a taxi, you'll know that when you're in the back seat, there's no way you can give the money to the taxi driver directly. So you have to push it on, and your change comes back in the same way, in the same process. And that's why taxi drivers are encouraged to sanitize each and every commuter who gets inside the taxi to ensure that their hands are clean and ensure that when they do handle money, their hands are sanitized. Also, when commuters get into the taxi ranks, they are sanitized. So there are different measures and different steps that the president has said to ensure that there is no spread of the virus. But all that, it's important to maintain that all that lies in the people, in the shoulders of the people who are given the responsibility to implement this process and this campaign. And he did say that there will be a couple of people who will be employed throughout the country to assist not only taxi drivers but taxi associations within taxi ranks to implement this very big, and it's a very financially taxing campaign that is being put on the shoulders of SANTACO on behalf of commuters and taxi drivers.